Hey everybody, I'm John Finn, and I'm really sorry I haven't been around in a while. If you've been watching the channel for a minute, you know that I've kind of started to redo my background here, redo my toy setup, and hopefully we'll be done soon. We still have a few more cubes to fill up, but once that's done, we'll be doing a full tour. But today we have something really special. It's going to be the review of the last ever Forbidden Figurines Elite subscription belts, and really possibly the last ever Forbidden Figurines review I'll ever do. Stick around for after the jump to figure out why. So, recently it was announced by Forbidden Figurines on their social media that they would no longer be doing the Forbidden Figurines business. It was going to be closing down due to a lot of harassment that they were getting about how long it was taking to make orders. This wasn't a huge company. This was one person primarily doing all of the work of printing, painting, and putting these things together. Although they have had help from a few other people, especially in terms of the shipping, some of the printing, and some of the painting as well. And I don't want to make their input on it, seem like it was insignificant. It wasn't insignificant, and they did a great job helping them out. But at the end of the day, it all fell down onto this one person, and they just got tired of having to put up with the BS. So I can't blame them for getting out. But all that said and done, I'm really excited because we have 3 belts that we're going to be going over today, and 2 of them have direct comparisons that we can make to the Mattel version of their belts, and that's always exciting. We can see how those things mix and match together. So let's go ahead and let's get started. You've seen the pretty envelope. Let's get rid of that, and let's get started with the Big Eagle. So this belt was the belt that followed up the Winged Eagle, which is one of the most popular belts of all time. This is the first belt that Steve Austin had shortly after winning the WWF Championship back in the late 90s. I think it was late 90s. It may have been mid 90s. I can't really remember. But we do have a direct comparison that we can make between these two. On the top, you've got the Mattel belt. On the bottom, you have the Forbidden Figurines belt. And they're really close. Like the scale, this is one of the better scaled belts for Forbidden Figurines, because sometimes the scale does kind of get bigger or smaller depending on which belt's being made. For instance, the undisputed WWF Championship is much larger than, say, the WCW United States Championship. We're going to be taking a look at that in just a second. But this one scales almost 1-to-1 with the Mattel belt, and the detail is much better. You can see things a lot more clearly. There's depth in every part of the belt. Like this globe part here has depth to it. You can't really see it, but you can kind of see it compared to the Mattel belt, how much more depth there is in the Forbidden Figurines belt in comparison to the Mattel belt. So we take a closer look here at just this belt itself. You can make out all of the side panels pretty damn well. The paint is just flawless. They did a really good job of getting this down, and I really like this gold. While this isn't the final gold that they came up with for the last run of belts, which was just over the top. It was almost looked like a vac metal in terms of how good they got that going. This is still really good, and it's much better than some of the earlier gold belts. For instance, the WWF Intercontinental Championship that we got a long, way time ago was a much more yellowed belt compared. And we're going to look actually at a very yellow Mattel belt in just a second. But this is a very good, solid gold color that I think really does the original belt justice. And every other color, it just really does match up really well. They're vibrant. They look great. They're precision painted. I mean, I don't know how they are able to get this. I've never painted a Warhammer figure, as you can tell. But I just love the way this looks. And we're going to go ahead and try it on one of the figures right now. We're going to put it on Ricky Steamboat because he is one of my all-time favorite old school wrestlers. You can see it looks pretty cool. Not bad. It's a little bit big for the figures themselves, but that's the way the Mattel belts are as well. And I'm okay with a little bit of a larger belt because it just looks so good. It's just so detailed. The paint is so well done that I can't complain at all when it comes to the scale because one, they still look amazing, and two, I can use them with other figures if I wanted to. Like I recently got my first Mego figure, and the larger parts or the larger versions of the Forbidden Figurines belts, like the Undisputed WWF Championship, scale wonderfully to that 8-inch scale. So if you have figures that are in a slightly bigger scale than the Mattel and Jazzwares figures, you can use a lot of these belts on them, and it looks really great. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the WCW United States Championship since I already mentioned it. And here is the Mattel version. You can see that really, really, really just yellow tinge to the gold in this belt. It's not bad, and I'm glad we got this. This came with the Bill Goldberg Bret Hart 2-pack. This is the belt that came with it. And the reason I got that 2-pack was honestly to get this belt. Which was before I had really discovered Forbidden Figurines and the better way of getting belts. But here is the Forbidden Figurines version, and you will notice it is quite a bit smaller than the Mattel version, which I like quite a bit because it actually makes it scale a bit better with the figures themselves. But we'll take a closer look here, and you can see, again, depth, detail. We can get it in focus. I mean, you can see each of the individual feathers. You can see that detail work in the back of the plate, kind of in the background, and how it looks kind of like a gold nugget. You can see, if we can get it to focus here, you can see that you could just about read the writing on the side plates as well, which is just insane that 3D printing has gotten that good. It blows me away. And we're going to put this on Ricky Steamboat, of course, real quick. And, of course, these do have the Velcro straps on them, just like many of the modern belts do. And I do like that Velcro strap, I'm going to be honest with you. I have a couple of belts, full-size belts. I've got a Winged Eagle and a Big Gold. And, man, putting on those snaps is a bitch. You basically have to put the belt on backwards and then twist it around. And if you're wearing a shirt, it's going to get all twisted and all that stuff. And that's not very fun. Ooh, look at that. Nice little alfalfa there for you. That's a bonus. But here is how Ricky Steamboat looks with this Forbidden Figurines United States WCW Championship, and that just looks fucking perfect. It scales almost just perfectly with the figures themselves. The detail is there. It's got that improved gold color compared to the earlier Forbidden Figurines belts. This is where they're really starting to dial it in and really nail it in a way that is just exciting and beautiful. And it really breaks my heart that they're going to be going away in one vein, but in the other vein, it makes me happy that they're going to be getting away from all that stress. I don't want that for anybody. But yeah, you can see it. It's got some great detail. It looks great. It scales great. But what is the third belt? Well, the third belt is a belt that had been competing with all of the other elite belts pretty much every single time we had one of the voting contests. And it's very similar to the one we just looked at. This is the NWA United States Championship, and I love this belt so much. It's got a shit ton of color to it, and all the colors are bright. They pop great. It's got that just beautiful red in the background of the writing there on the belt, and I love that. It just has so much. Look at that American flag even. Like, each of the individual stripes you can make out. What the fuck? I mean, you got to use like a single hair to paint something like that. Let's see if we can get it in focus there. There we go. But yeah, this belt, I don't have one to compare it to because it's never been released in the Mattel line, and it probably never will unless they somehow get a deal with the NWA, and I don't really see that happening given how they want to try and compete with companies like WWE. But you can see there it's got the NWA logo at the very top, the United States flag just underneath the name of the title itself. You've got the map of the United States. You can make out individual states on that. Got the eagle there in the center, and then the cool side plates with the United States kind of emblem here, and then a couple of wrestlers wrestling in front of it. I dig that. Let's see how it looks on Mr. Steamboat right here, right quick, like. I-do-do-do. And this one is scaled a little bit larger than the WCW belt, so it's a little bit bigger, a little bit chunkier on him. I dig it though. I think I'm probably going to use this one from the comic going forward because it's got such a classic look to it. It's just so definitively late 80s and early 90s. And I love that so much. That is just such a golden era for me when it comes to the wrestling, professional wrestling period. That was my jam was when I was probably in love with it most because, I bought it all. I totally was a mark. Of course, I was a child. You would expect a child to be a mark for stuff like that. But this is a cool little thing, and I'm really happy we got it. I'm super happy that Forbidden Figurines has been around for as long as it has been, and that it's created so many different, just breathtaking belts. Let me show you one last look at the three here, just so you can get an idea of how they look next to each other and their scale and things like that. Remind you, we did Big Eagle, we did the WCW US and the NWA US, and I'm gonna miss them. I'm gonna miss having the ability to get these just amazing quality belts made and for an unbelievably good price. I was willing to wait however long it took, for her to get these done. Because they're worth it. They were worth the time. They were worth the money. But I'm not bitter that it's over. I'm just glad that it's happened. And I wish the people behind and the primary person behind Forbidden Figurines nothing but the best in the future. Whatever they do, they're going to be successful at it because they are just so dedicated and so hardworking that it's been great to have them around for as long as we have. Well, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm really sorry that if you decided these were for you, that you're not going to be able to get them at this point anyway. But thanks to the proliferation of their product, you're seeing a lot more independent belt manufacturers come up for the toys. So I think there is still going to be a future for this type of product, and I think that the work that Forbidden Figurines put into it has made everyone up their game in the custom belt making industry, and I think their impact is going to last for a lot longer than even the initial business did. So we all owe a lot to Forbidden Figurines. Show them some love on social media. Show your support for them, and if you are one of the people harassing them, shame on you. Shame on you. They were always willing to refund your money if you weren't happy with the wait. All you had to do was ask. They wouldn't give you any pushback, but you decided to just harass them and needle them and be assholes, and that's not cool. Don't do that shit. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, I'm John Finn, and I'm out.